Hello everyone. I hope all of you must be fine. In the previous 2 weeks, we have been covering a lot of topics uh, related to the Indian economy, and I hope all of you must have now a fair amount of idea about what the Indian economy is and on what kind of factors it really depends on. So, continuing the same tempo, we are going to discuss a very significant topic today, on which a large majority of the percentage of our population actually depends on for their livelihood. And you have guessed right, we are going to talk about the Indian agriculture. So you know what? In spite of the fact that we have gone a long way, we have traveled a lot after the independence that was gained in 1947. A lot of industrial development has taken place. Manufacturing sector has been flourishing. The service sector and the financial sector, everything you name and has been developing to a great extent. But in spite of the fact, we have to say that even today, 58% of our population depends on the agriculture for their livelihood. So it is very important for all of us to know about the mass of our country and the peasants in particular, and how they are going to survive with the kind of agricultural facilities that they are having. So, hi, I'm Professor P.K. Patel, going to have a detailed discussion on the Indian agriculture. What are its defining factors and what kind of Indian agricultural is being followed at present. And we also will be discussing its pros and cons in various ways, the types of the agriculture and all. So, before I'm going to have a detailed discussion on this, I urge all of you to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep on receiving interesting videos on the significant topic. So, on this note, now I'm going to share the slide. Just be focused on the topics, and in case you require, you can make one-liner notes so that in future, when you need to cross-refer all these topics, it will be very easy for you. And within short span of time, you can. And my advice to all of you is you must maintain a common notebook while listening to my videos, so that you get all the topics in very brief at a single place. So this will be one of the important preparation for your forthcoming examination. So I'm going to share this slide now. Uh, I hope you can see the slide. As I told you, we are going to talk about Indian economy with specific reference to the Indian agriculture. So you can see the primary source of livelihood. It has about 58% of India's population is depending on the agriculture. And our country, in spite of the fact that we have got only 2% of the whole area of the world, ours is the largest plain areas along the Indo-Gangetic plain, which is immensely fertile, and so therefore ours is basically a agricultural country. We can say so. Also, we have variety of the climatic conditions and soil types, which are good for growing a lot of crops. And the physical variation along the factors like the availability of irrigation, use of machinery, insecticide, pesticide, all these things are playing a huge role in the evolution of different farming practices in the Indian agricultural sector, which will be following up in the next few slides. So let us see what are the types of the farming in India. These are the major types: subsistence farming, the intensive and extensive farming, the commercial farming, plantation farming, and the mixed farming. We'll see them one by one. The first one being the subsistence farming, which is actually you can say that it is hand to mouth. I mean, in this there are the farmers, they don't grow for selling; they just grow for their consumption per se. So you can see the entire production is largely consumed by the farmers and their families. They do not have any surplus to sell in the market. And the land holdings in this case are very small and fragmented, and they do not have access to the modern equipments as well. So they depend to an extent on the conventional practices of the agriculture. So what they do, because it is only for their own consumption, so they cultivate the cereals along with the oilseeds, pulses, vegetables, and the sugarcane, so that all of their requirements in terms of the food items is being fulfilled through their agricultural farming. Now, the subsistence farming is further classified into two, and we'll be seeing what exactly they are. So, they are intensive farming and the primitive farming. So let us first see what the primitive farming is. So, it is practiced on the patches of land with the help of primitive tools like simple digging tools and the community or the family labor. So, as I told you earlier, that these people, they do not have access to the modern tools and equipments, so they depend on the simple digging tools and the supporting items. And the second thing is that this type of farming is monsoon dependent, along with the fertility of the soil and other environment conditions, because even they do not have the access to the pesticides and insecticides and many other things which the modern agriculture is supposed to utilize. So there are a few examples like shifting agriculture and nomadic herding. Let us see what the shifting agriculture is. It's practiced in the thickly forest regions like the Amazon basin, tropical Africa, and similar patches. It may be there in some part of our country. Of course, it is not a very common scene, but at least somewhere across the country it could be like this. So what happens actually is a patch of land is cleared by felling off the trees and burning them, and therefore you now have a patch of land. The ashes of all these trees are then mixed with the soil, and crops like maize, the yam, potatoes, and cassava are grown. Okay, and since this has been created through various conventional wisdom, so the land has to be abandoned once the fertility is reduced. The next one is nomadic herding, in which the herdsmen move from place to place with their animals for the fodder and water along the defined routes, and such movement arises due to the seasonal changes. So wherever there is a favorable season, they travel along with their animals and you know uh, survive at different places. Next type is intensive subsistence agriculture. It is done on the small lands with simple tools and mobile labor. The produce is enough for the local consumption and to be sold outside also. So, even after having kept a for consumption, you have something which you can sold it out. And the basic reason for that is because of the climatic conditions and the fertile soil, you can cultivate more than one crop annually on the same plot. And these are some of the examples like rice, wheat, maize, pulses, and oilseeds. They are generally cultivated. The majority of the item you can keep it for your consumption, but even that, it will some amount of the some quantity of the agricultural products will be available for you to sell it outside and generate revenue in the process. Now, what is the difference between intensive and extensive farming? The only difference is the quantity of production per unit of land. So in case of the extensive farming, large patch of land is required because the per unit production is low. So this may be case in the countries like Canada and others. But in our country, as far as the intensive agriculture is concerned, because of the favorable conditions, we can have the intensive farming, and the production is really very high due to larger area, high production per unit of land. And the example could be Kerala, where the availability of land for cultivation is very limited, but the productivity is very high. Coming to the third type, commercial farming. Contrary to the subsistence farming, where the farming is done purely for the sake of consumption by the farmers, in this commercial farming, the whole the farming is done in order to sell it out in the market for earning money. So in the system, the farmers use the inputs like irrigation, chemical fertilizer, insecticide, pesticide, high-yielding variety of the seeds. So they have access to each and everything, and they are able to produce the items which can be sold out in the market. and revenue can be generated in the process. Examples could be like cotton, jute, sugarcane, and groundnut, etc. Uh, Example also can be rice farming in Haryana, because these people are basically the wheat eaters, and so therefore rice farming in Haryana is mainly for the commercial purposes. On the contrary, you can see in the eastern and the northeastern states of India, rice cultivation would be large of the subsistence type, because those people they consume rice only. Okay, we'll see the next one. Plantation farming. A single cash crop is grown for sale in the national and international markets. Uh, it involves growing and processing of a single cash crop. Example could be the tea, coffee, rubber, and banana. So, and there are specified areas where these things are produced in very large quantity. Most of these crops were introduced in India by the Britishers in the 19th century. So, if I have to ask you, for tea, the Assam and Darjeeling region is known. Okay. So, similarly, there are specified areas where all these cash crops are grown for the purpose of selling it out in the market. Finally, we'll come to the mixed farming, when both raising crops and rearing animals are carried out simultaneously. It is called the mixed farming. So farmers engaged in mixed farming have economical advantage as well. So they have agricultural land on one hand, and on the other they also have certain animals like cow and all, so they can milk them and sell it out in the market, thereby revenue generating. Okay. Also, the classification are also based on the nature and purpose of the farming. So the one example is banana may be a plantation type of farming, but it can also be classified as a commercial farming. Okay, so because it is a single plant, so plantation type, but when it is used for the commercial purpose, it is also classified as the commercial farming. Okay, now let us see the features of the Indian agriculture. As I told you, the subsistence agriculture in majority of the parts of the country, population is rising like anything, and 70% of the population is directly or indirectly dependent on the agriculture, which is really too high. Mechanization in the agricultural is still missing, in spite of the fact that agricultural revolution has taken place, and but we have not been able to achieve the complete mechanization. And a large part of our country, like 2/3 of the crop areas are still monsoon dependent, because we don't have excess water or the facilities relating to that. India have both the climates, and therefore crops of both the climates in terms of the tropical and temperate climates. We can farm both the crops, but predominance is of the food crops almost everywhere in the country. If you see the seasonal patterns, we have three seasons: Kharif, Rabi, and Jaid. Rice is a Kharif crop, for example, whereas the wheat is a Rabi crop. Watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, etc. are the Jaid crops. So Jaid season is basically a small, duration of 2 to 3 months between the Rabi and Kharif. Okay. So these are important features of the Indian agriculture. Now let us see what were the challenges for the Indian agriculture. The first challenge is the stagnation in production of the major crops like wheat and rice, and so therefore because the rising population is always there, so it may pose a challenge in the near future, because the demand and supply will not be able to be matched. Another challenge is the high cost of farm inputs, and majority of the farmers they are hand to mouth people. They don't have enough money to buy all these things like fertilizer and insecticide, pesticides, HYVs, etc. So it's really very difficult for those people to acquire these things. The third one is soil exhaustion, because farming the same crop over and over again, it is resulting into the soil exhaustion and leading to the loss of the nutrients in the soil. And as you know, the groundwater depletion is really happening too fast than what we can imagine. Now, for example, if you have noticed, just 2-3 months back, it was reported that in the Chennai region, the groundwater availability is uh, below 2000 feet. Okay, so if you have to get groundwater, you have to dig 2000 feet. Okay, so it's really an alarming situation. And this is largely because most of the irrigation in dry areas of Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP have been done through excessive use of the groundwater. The another cause of concern is the global climate change. It's a lead to increase in the sea level, more intense cyclones, and unpredictable rainfall, thereby causing huge damage to the agriculture. Impact of the globalization also has happened, and now the farmers has to face stiff competition from the developed world, which they are not better equipped with and for. And due to the stagnation in the product of the major crops, we are not being able to provide the food security at least in times to come. It's a real threat. And farmer suicides also are taking place is one of the biggest challenge. This could be attributed to the commercialization of the countryside along with the massive decline in investment in agriculture. The problem gets compounded by the privatization of many resources. Okay, so this is all about the Indian agriculture. Some of the important facts you can see in terms of the government records. These are some of the facts. If you want, you can just make a note of it. The total food grain production in the country was recorded 296.65 million tons compared to financial year 19. So this was in the financial year 20. So similarly, these are the data which you can look into, like gross value added by agriculture, forestry, and fishing was estimated at 19.48 lakh crores in financial year 20. And consumer spending in India will return to its growth in 2021, post the pandemic-led contraction expanding by as much as 6.6%. So, in spite of the fact that we are growing, but we have to go not with the same pace, but by leaps and bounds. So that's it for the day. Thank you for watching my video. Feel free to mail your subject-related queries on my mail ID, and keep on receiving the videos like this. So that's it for the day. I stop sharing now, and hope you might have got some insight into the Indian agriculture. What are the types of agriculture, and what are the factors? What are the challenges? The significant features of the agriculture? How me and you all are related? What kind of threats they could be posed because of inefficiency in this sector? So just make note of some of the important points for your revision in the future. So that's it for the day. I urge all of you once again to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And stay blessed. Thank you so much for watching my video till the last. Definitely, you are going to succeed in all your endeavors with this kind of focus that you are showing. As we told you, dedication, devotion, and determination, they are the determining factors of anybody's success. And you being so focused, I believe and I really hope for the best for all your future endeavors. So once again, I thank all of you. Have a nice day and see you once again with another set of videos. Thanks.